Next hour, we are joined by the one, the only David Icke, a champion goalie, sports and news reporter, formerly the head of the Green Party in the UK, who had a massive awakening experience 20 years ago now or more. And a lot of what he's talked about, unfortunately, has come true. You know, David was asking us in an email, well, what are some of the points Alex wants to raise? And, I never even really do that with David Icke because he's always got the points he thinks are most important, and I always tend to agree with him. I want to get into just the hurdling crisis, the openness of world government now, with the banksters running it, the NDAA, the open announcement of secret police, wars without approval, just total lawlessness out in the open. And there is, what he predicted and others did as well, a giant accelerating awakening happening. So we are living in an incredible time, to say the least. We are at the crossroads of human destiny. DavidIcke.com is his website. Also, I'll be plugging this throughout. He is coming to the United States, speaking at 2 events in Hawaii this month, in Honolulu, all day on March 24th, and Maui, all day on March 31st. He has a new book out called Remember Who You Are. And he joins us now. We're going to break in about 3 minutes, David. But give us a prelude. What are some of the biggest things on your radar screen right now?
Well, first of all, it would be nice while I'm in Hawaii, if I can find Obama's birth certificate. I shall be looking as best I can, but I'm not confident. Funnily enough, well, I think one of the most relevant things that gets missed a lot of the time is that you currently have the President of the United States visiting you. He's just arrived in America. He's there now. He's called Benjamin Netanyahu. And this whole area of how what I call Rothschild Zionists, which is not Jewish people over in total, it's this, what I would strongly suggest, Alex, is a secret society at its core, created and controlled to this day by the Rothschilds, that has taken over American government through organizations, not least AIPAC, and by putting their people in the key positions to control finance, to control the State Department, to control all these areas that are pushing and pushing and pushing for this agenda that you've just been talking about. I mean, someone like Joseph Lieberman, for instance, Rothschild Zionist, again and again comes up to articulate and try to promote things that are in the agenda, not least, of course, in his case, censorship of the internet. And this is an area that we really, need to stop hiding from and pussyfooting around, because this is not about it's Jewish people. No, it's a secret society, which is not entirely Jewish people either. As one of the few things that Joe Biden has ever said that I agree with is when he said you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. No, you don't. People like John McCain are Zionists in my definition of that, and they push that agenda.
Why do you think Israel wants war, or some of the interest over there want war so bad?
Well, because what we have, and we've got a break shortly, but what we have is a global structure, Alex, which is akin to a transnational corporation. If you look at something like McDonald's, it will have a headquarters somewhere in the world, well, in America in this case. And in each country around the world, McDonald's will have subsidiaries like other transnational corporations, and those subsidiaries are there to carry out and introduce the policies and the direction and the agenda of the headquarters.
And take over the next country. Those countries that are controlled are then go into the exploitation phase to be a launch base to attack the next nation. They're basically like aircraft carriers on land. Well, we'll stay there. Let's come back and explore this, because I said grab bag. I had no idea what you'd bring up. This first, we'll get into that, and then we'll get into all the rest of the things that are happening. We are 8 minutes in to this second hour of worldwide broadcast. It is March 6th, 2012. Beware the Ides of March. We've seen the untimely death of Andrew Breitbart, where we're seeing Obama announce that he will kill U.S. citizens overseas, but only secretly arrest them here, launching wars without congressional approval. Benjamin Netanyahu just came to the United States, and basically I watched part of the speech online. I didn't watch it live, but I watched part of it online this morning, and it basically sounded like a declaration of war, like it's a foregone conclusion. And I had Colonel Schaefer on yesterday. He said it's starting to lean towards that. Will it be an October surprise or after the election because the gas prices will go up? Then that'll be used as a political diversion for the open announcement of world government run by megabanks. Now, David Icke just joined us in the last little segment. If you tuned in, I said out of all the things, Iran, the economy, world government, the drones, the microchipping, what's most on your radar? Because I don't do a pre-interview with David. He's busy, I'm busy. I just want to hear what he has to say. And he brought up the fact that Israel and some of the things that are going on there being very close to the core of this and tying it into the Rothschilds. So go ahead, David.
Well, what I was saying, Alex, is that this global network, this global cabal of families and secret societies operates like a transnational corporation. Transnational corporation, I was saying, has a headquarters somewhere in the world, and then the subsidiaries in each country carry out the agenda and the policies dictated from the center. So, for instance, if you go into a McDonald's in Moscow or Johannesburg or Sydney or New York, you're going into basically the same McDonald's. Well, what this cabal has created is a secret society and family bloodline a version of that, where the headquarters at operational level certainly is in Europe. It's in places like the City of London, in Paris, in Rome, and Brussels, places like that. In America, yes, to an extent, but nothing like as much as you'd think, considering how powerful and upfront America has been in the public arena. And so when you look at names like the United States, Israel even, Britain, these are just names for subsidiaries of the global network, and they're working to a central dictated plan.
And that's why there's global standardization. I mean, it's the same system across the board.
So look what's happening here. The Rothschilds created modern Israel, and as you know, many Jewish historians have written at length about. There is no historical justification for it. The Rothschilds know that. So what they did was create Israel for a specific reason, nothing to do with Jewish people. They hung them out to dry in Germany. They're planning to hang them out to dry again in this planned Third World War. They couldn't give a damn about Jewish people in general, and it's about time Jewish people in general started to realize this, because they've been had by these people. They have no more concern for them as they have for the rest of the population. So Israel's there to create upheaval, divide and rule, and agitation in that crucial part of the world as part of a much greater global plan. So you have Israel doing that. And Israel is an arm of the Rothschilds, just as the United States and Britain are arms of the Rothschilds. And this is why America gives so much fantastic amounts of billions of dollars every year to Israel, this sliver of land in the Middle East, which has a population of little more, if even that, of 8 million people. And the reason they do that is because one arm of the Rothschilds, the American government, is handing that money from American taxpayers and borrowing to another arm of the Rothschilds, the Israeli government. And it doesn't go to the Israeli people. In September of 2011, something like 400,000 Jewish people, Israelis, were on the streets in Israel protesting against their treatment and their economic plight, just as the same was happening around in other parts of the world.
Well, David, just to add,
400,000 people in a country of less than 8 million. So it's not going to Jewish people. It's going to the cabal that control Israel. Then you take it to the next stage. When you've got the agitation and the manipulation, then in comes the American military overwhelmingly. They're now calling it NATO because they're moving towards the world army step by step in this way. But overwhelmingly, NATO is America. Now, why is it that at a time when so many Americans are in such terrible economic plights, when you are having enormous numbers of people losing their jobs, losing their homes, losing their livelihoods, that if you add all the hidden costs in, the American government is still spending, borrowing, and using taxpayers' money to the tune of something like $1 trillion a year.
It's more than that.
On military spending. Yeah, probably more.
No, it's almost $2 trillion because it's 1.1 on budget, another $800 billion that's supplemental. But let me just stop you and back you up here.
Hold on a second. One second. That makes my point even stronger. Where I'm going with this is that is not the American military. That is the cabal's military called America, and this is why it doesn't serve the interests of Americans, certainly not with these cuckoo land amounts of money being spent on slaughtering people abroad.
Sure, America is used as a subsidiary, but listen, I got to throw this at you because you're absolutely right, and you've talked about this forever. The Rothschilds, as you know, 1215, when Napoleon said he'd won to buy up the stock market when it crashed, and then it went back up. That's all on record, but they sued the Mail and then lost. The Mail said, the big paper said, you are a secret, mastermind, puppet master, secretly running all these oligarchs and banks. And I'd seen that from research. And then he sued them, and then it came out, the judge said that they'd lied to him, Nathan Rothschild had, and that indeed he was this puppet master. So I wanted to throw that at you to get your take on it.
Well, the House of Rothschild are one of the major expressions of this bloodline network. And what they've done brilliantly in the last 100 and odd years from the turn of the 20th century is to increase their power, and increase their economic power and political manipulative power, while appearing to have faded into the background. What they do is they put people forward like Goldman Sachs and Lloyd Blankfein and people like this to do their work in the public arena.
By the way, got to back you up. I've seen in like big establishment publications that are more for elites, it says like the word Rothschild means discretion and secrecy, and that's even admitted. So why do you think he sued the Mail for a newspaper for reporting something that's well known?
Well, only he knows that, but he made a big mistake, that's for sure. And maybe the tide is starting to turn. I think it is. I think there are signs that it is, because the Rothschilds now are increasingly finding it more and more difficult to hide behind anonymity.
Well, that was why I asked the question now, is what does that signify that the court ruled against him?
Well, I think, Alex, I am seeing more and more signs, not kind of great revelations that change society yet, but I am seeing signs that the tide is beginning to turn. But as I was saying, Netanyahu, therefore, just like the American military is serving the Rothschilds' agenda, so Netanyahu is serving the Rothschilds' agenda, so Obama is serving the Rothschild agenda, so David Cameron's serving the Rothschild agenda, and the Rothschild agenda is for a series of domino takeovers and wars in the Middle East, leading to a third world war between NATO and the so-called West and Russia and China. So all these people are not operating, I mean, listeners to this show will know this, but they're not operating at random and making up as they go along. This is part of a plan, and the Rothschilds are orchestrating.
Wesley Clark said that years ago. He said he was in there, and they said, we're going to attack these countries in this order, and it's now happening. It is all a program.
Yeah, this is what people need to appreciate to start to see the world in the way that it is, as opposed to the movie that we're sold through the mainstream media and through politics. That is, the borders that we see as divisions between countries, divisions between units of nation, are only applicable on the surface. Behind the scenes, the same cabal is manipulating into all these different countries. So at the peak of their pyramids, that cabal in each country that runs the politics, the banking, etc., is answering to the same master.
Sure, compartmentalization. We're about to go to break, but I want to ask you this. How is it going for them? From everything I've seen, it's not going well, but they've still got the momentum to try to carry it out.
Well, I've been feeling for a while, Alex, a sense of panic And when you panic, you make mistakes. And when you panic, you tend to be unable to keep under wraps what you're doing. And I'm seeing this happening more and more and more. On one level, they are pushing on and on and on.